Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lamone, and this is my review for Scary Movie. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Share, leave a like, comment below, let me know your thoughts on Scary Movie, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? So, Scary Movie. I'm gonna be completely transparent with y'all. I was super looking forward to this one, and to the fact that this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Now, not top 10 by any means, but it's definitely before top 20. Where it ranks between 11 and 20, I don't really know. But again, I was really looking forward to this for many reasons, right? One, the Wayans brothers, getting it back. I'm a huge fan of the Wayans brothers, especially Marlon. Marlon is one of my dream people to meet in a lot of ways, and also someone I hope I get to work with one day whenever I do figure out how to actually direct a film and I am able to be in Hollywood and, you know, pursue that dream. He is an actor I do hope to work with in the future. Just a huge fan of his comedy work and just from his interviews and how he seems like as a person. Again, it's just a type of energy that I would really like to be around. Also, huge fan of Anna Faris and Regina Hall, and then just that whole original cast, right? Like I said, love the Wayans brothers. And then, you know, Anna Faris and Regina Hall, huge fan of theirs, and have a big attachment to Cindy and Brenda as well, because this franchise means a lot to me. In a lot of ways, it was my childhood. I was first introduced to Scary Movie 4 as a child. I remember because I used to be so afraid of horror movies. So if anything was scary, like I didn't want to deal with it, right? Which is a testament to the arc that I went on. And I was at a friend's house. He was like, hey, let's watch Scary Movie. I'm like, I'm good. And he's like, no, it's not scary. It's funny. I was like, I don't do horror movies. He goes, it's not scary. It's funny. And he goes, I'm like, dude, movie's called Scary Movie. I'm good. He goes, no, I promise. It's funny. Just give it a chance. Watched it, fell in love with it, and then watched 3. And then I watched the one with the Wayans brothers, which, again, are the better ones. And I do think 3 actually really does compete with those. Actually, those first 3 to me really do battle out for the top spot sometimes. And it really just depends on my mood on which one I prefer more. 4 will always have a special place in my heart. And yeah, 5 is a big pile of crap. So to see 6, Shorty and Ray were going to be coming back. Here come the Wayans. They get their franchise back. Again, I was really, really looking forward to this. Because again, if it wasn't for those, I don't go, oh, these are references to other movies, and then I watch those movies, and now here I am, huge horror fan. It's my favorite genre out of all of them. So yeah, let's get into it. This was a really long intro for the actual review itself, and I feel like with that intro, you kind of know how I'm going to feel about it, because I'm also a fan of the Haunted House movies, which the director directed those films as well. Him and Marlon have a really good rapport with it. So therefore, overall, I had a good time with this movie. Now, look, this is by no means a perfect movie. This is not a movie that I will certainly not recommend if I don't think this is going to be your cup of tea. I feel like if you watch the trailer, you know exactly what you're going to get yourself into. Or if you've seen Scary Movie 1 or 2, you're going to know exactly what you're going to get yourself into. So I just don't know. If you went in thinking you were going to like it and then you didn't like it, I feel like you played yourself in a lot of ways. Now, again, comedy can deter on every single person, which is what I love about the Wayans. They go by the mantra, look, either everything is funny or nothing is funny, so therefore anything is on the table. And this movie had the marketing of no holds barred, we're going to offend everyone, you can't cancel us whatsoever. For the most part, the jokes are really tame, right? So I was like waiting for them to be really, really offensive. And for the most part, when it got to the offensive jokes, if you will, I feel like these were jokes that we heard multiple times. Like you saw the subway scene where, you know, we had the they, them joke. And that's expanded on. And actually, when the joke is expanded on a little bit more, I think the joke does get a little bit more funnier. But again, I've heard that joke multiple times. So how much more of a laugh can I get out of that, especially when I see it in the before my movies in the subsequent weeks. There's also some good ongoing jokes with the guy who is transgender as well. Those were, again, pretty hit or miss. Then we also know about the, hey, I'm Republican, so I'm supposed to be racist. You know, all those types of jokes. Again, these are jokes that we have heard multiple times before. And yeah, and sometimes they really hit due to the context of the movie, and sometimes they are relatively a miss. Also, the only real criticisms I heard constantly throughout, because I do try to stay away from them, but Scary Movie just bled through, which I do think that goes to show how much money this movie's going to make. So we're definitely going to get a seventh one for this. But one of the most common criticisms I saw for the people who did not like it, which, you know, is par for the course, is that it's just a bunch of SNL skits stitched together. And when I read that, I was like, so it's a scary movie. Like, not all of them are very cohesive within the editing. Now, 1 and 3, I do think they stitched together very, very well. 2, I think this movie right here, 6, is more akin with the editing and the stitching of the scenes together within the realm of Scary Movie 2, which I do think 2 is a collective of a bunch of funny scenes that come into a movie. Does 2 execute it better than 6? Yeah, for sure. But still, overall, I like 2. So therefore, the stitching and the editing together of the collection of scenes didn't necessarily really bother me. As for some of the jokes I really liked, I think the movie starts off very, very strong too. There are some good cameos in the opening, and that dialogue I found very, very interesting as, not very interesting, very funny, I should say. And then there is, because, you know, the movie is heavily referencing Scary Movie 5. And when we get to that opening scene where, you know, who's playing Sydney's daughter, who does a great job. The actress who plays Sydney's daughter did a great job at channeling a younger Sydney in a lot of ways. Like, yeah, you point at her and go, yeah, that's definitely Sydney's daughter. And they're at this amusement park, which is a big reference to Final Destination. I thought all of those gags worked very, very well within the background. There's also a lot of fun sight gags in the background throughout the film that I also thought were really, really good all the way through. And at the end of the movie, I think was really, really strong as well. That is not just a great reference to Scream, but a great reference to Scary Movie and spoof movies as a whole. And, you know, I'll echo this from the other thing that I kept hearing about this movie is that the Ghostface killer's motivations for killing in this movie is better than Scream 7. Absolutely. I bought it hook, line, and sinker all the way through. In the middle, yes, there is a bit of a struggling point because, again, this movie is so reliant on the hit and miss ratio. And, you know, it's kind of like Naked Gun in a lot of ways, which is joke, 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 joke. Like, if a joke doesn't hit, you have another one coming very, very shortly. But where I feel like it's different between Naked Gun and here, Naked Gun, it's really quick and quippy all the way through. Like, there's not long, drawn-out scenes to get to a punchline. Here with Scary Movie, yes, you have those quick quips, if you will, but there is also these long drawn-out scenes because we're referencing other movies and we're like, hey, you remember this, you remember that, and you're drawing all of this to get to a punchline to make fun of a whole entire scene. And if those scenes aren't necessarily working, the punchline probably isn't going to work. So therefore, you have a bit of a longer of a dead time within there that, yeah, some of those scenes didn't really necessarily work for me. There is one that references a very, very famous animated movie that came out. Like, when it started, big pop out of me. I thought it was really funny. But then it keeps going. And I'm just like, okay, you made your point. Let's move on. And there's a lot of sequences throughout this movie that do lend itself to that, where either the joke goes on too long, but that is not even funny anymore. Or again, you're kind of waiting for the punchline and you go, that was the punchline you went with. I also think, again, because this is the Wayans' franchise, but let's not get it twisted. This is Sydney and Brenda's franchise in a lot of ways. Yes, behind the scenes, it's the Wayans. But on screen, we are here to see Brenda and Sydney. And I do feel like, although they are a presence, I don't feel like they are the leads. And I wanted more screen time with them, especially Sydney. When Sydney's in the movie, she's really hitting it. Same with Brenda as well. And I feel like I need to see the runtimes for each one, but I felt like I didn't get a lot of Brenda in this movie, which I thought was a shame for me. And again, I wanted a little bit more Sydney as well throughout the whole entire film. Not to say that the Wayans completely took over. I mean, Ray is still very much Ray. His scene with Sinners was really, really funny if you know what they're referencing to, with that viral YouTube video, I believe, that came out, which knowing the reference was really, really funny, which I was actually kind of worried about, because the first 4 movies, I did not know the references, so I did not know what jokes would be coming. And, as a young child, I found everything really, really funny. And then with Scary Movie 5, and then even the Haunted Houses to a degree, knowing all the references at that point as someone who became a cinephile, if you will, and knowing all the references that they were doing, it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever. Haunted House executed much, much better. But yeah, there is that dead time within here. So I was worried about that when it came here to Scary Movie 6. But yeah, overall, again, the movie's fine. It's really, really fine. Is this going to be on my top 10 list of the year? No. Will I really remember this whole entire movie by next week? Probably not. But when I was in that theater, I was laughing it up. I was happy to see the characters that I saw once when I was a child. I do think that if we are to do around 7, which I do think it's very, very likely we will, for sure, with, again, judging by how my theater is and how it is online right now, whether it's positive or negative, people are talking about this movie, so there is money to be made for sure, is that I feel like the Wayans had since the franchise got stripped from them, that there was a hunger. Not to lower the tone, but it's a scary movie, so who cares? But it's like when you haven't had sex in a long time, from a guy's perspective anyway, right, ladies? If you haven't had sex in a really, really long time, and you do get to have sex again, when you get to the end, it's like, it explodes, right? I feel like the Wayans exploded on this movie with all the references that they could do, and that they were more caught up within the reference as opposed to more cohesive stitching throughout and actually making a story throughout the whole Scary Movies. Because yes, 2, good for what it is. Again, it competes for the top spot sometimes depending on what my mood is. But 1, where they were really hitting on all cylinders, they had all the time in the world to do it, they weren't rushed. That one is the cohesive movie throughout, where it is more than just scenes stitched together. And I feel like now that they got the references out of the way, when we get to 7, they can really lock in and go, okay, we got our system. What worked? What didn't work? Okay, let's do this. We can amplify this. Okay, here's a scene that we can do here. Bada beam, bada boom. Now we are truly, truly back to where we want to be. So yeah, if there is to be a 7, which again, I do think there is going to be, I would be more than down to do it. As for a rating, I mean, objectively, probably, like, maybe an Expired story about Lemonade. But again, I had fun. To me, I'll give it a Lemonade. I don't care. I really did. I don't care to rate this movie. I had fun for what it was, and I will still buy the Blu-ray when it comes out, or the 4K. Hopefully there's a bunch of bonus features, because there's a lot of scenes in the trailers that are not in the movie. Like the Squid Game scene that you see, and the Squid Game guy's like all over the marketing. He's not in the movie. So we will see when we get to that portion of the marketing. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Scary Movie. Comment below and know your thoughts on it. Leave a like if you made this far in the review. I do greatly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button as I am trying to grow into my YouTube career. Until next time, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.